G'day and welcome to Queensland Farmer. Well, about 8 weeks ago, this area was full of water. You might recall we had a pretty big rain event. It was flowing out of there beautifully, following the contours that we wanted it to follow and not doing any damage, which is terrific. However, it's been very dry and it's a typical summer in Queensland at times, despite the fact we're not even in summer. It's dried out. The dam that sort of feeds this area here is down a couple of feet, and they are calling for storms here today, which I hope we see. I'd like to see about 50 mils of rain, which would be nice, a couple of inches of rain, but this is before the storm, if you like. So I'll certainly check in tomorrow because they're expecting rain after dark, and it'd be pointless recording that. The paddocks are drying off a bit, but we have had some fog and we've had just a little bit of rain, 5 mil here, 5 mil there. So hoping that we'll get a little bit more before it really starts to warm up. We've still got plenty of grass for the cattle, and we've got our emergency paddock that we put aside as well, which is about 50 acres bush area. So if it does dry out down here in these, what is traditionally a fairly wet area, we'll certainly move the cattle up there. That will mean I'll need to do a bit of work on some fences, but certainly worth the effort to make sure those cattle maintain their condition and that we don't need to buy food. I'll check in the morning. This is the dam that's just down from our house. We would have seen this dam before in some of the videos where we did some work with the bananas and also the African tulip tree that we cut down, because that's the one that kills bees. This dam's down quite low now, and whilst we don't pump out of it, the wildlife certainly come in and have a drink out of it, but they haven't done this. It does have a bit of a natural leak, so I guess this is my big leaky weir, as somebody described it one day. But it's certainly down a long way, and usually this gets the water that runs off out of our tanks at the house and anything else that might sort of come down this hill. Yeah, so it's pretty clear that this is down quite a way. I have, in the 3 years that we've been here, I've seen it come down about the same distance again. So it's not the driest it's been, but it really is a reflection of the pretty dodgy rain that we've had of late. But we'll see what happens. I can actually hear some thunder coming now, so I'm really hopeful that we'll get some decent rain tonight, and it'll top these dams up and certainly make that grass a bit greener, more nutritious and a bit more palatable for the cattle, and it always looks nicer with green grass as well. So we'll check back in the morning. Fingers crossed we'll get some rain. I've just pulled up here in the ATV to come and have a look at this dam, and fairly decent sized kangaroos just parked here. I'm sure he'll move when I get out of the ATV. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Anyway, we'll ignore him for now. Just going to have a look where this water has come up. And just where I'm walking here, it's all pretty wet, so clearly with this rain, it's overflowed, which is fantastic. Oh, look at that, it's still overflowing. Throw a bit of grass in here, we can see it should all go. Yeah, that didn't work. Maybe too big. Anyway, hopefully you can see that that's moving. That water has come up quite a bit. I think it's come up a couple of feet. It's pretty deep out there, and it goes back a fair way, goes way back over to here and disappears up between those trees. So it's a fairly decent sized dam, this one. The lucky thing with this dam is that once our other dams overflow, this dam gets the remainder of the water. So it fills pretty quick. And that's what it's done. So it's filled and overflowing just with 78 mils of rain. Big difference. Just 3 weeks ago, this was completely dry. Really good to see, particularly this late in the year. We're setting ourselves up for another well-fed cattle Christmas. Okay, well that wraps up today's video. It's been a little while since I put a video out, I acknowledge that, and thank you for your perseverance. I've had some other things going on. It's also been really dry here, so I didn't want to be out in the tractor. There was a bit of a fire risk happening, and there's certainly some fires around the place. That's going to ease now with a bit of luck, given we've had this rain, and fingers crossed we'll get another storm tonight. Forecasters have indicated we will get one, but sometimes they're right, sometimes they're not right. So enough said about that. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Bye for now. Here's a good example of where we've got lots of water sitting in swales. So it's just going to soak into the ground, keep that ground hydrated. You hear those frogs, they're pretty happy with the rain too. Well, you just saw what was meant to be my close for yesterday, but we got another big storm overnight, and this is the result. So the water's spilling out over that primary spillway, and obviously it's too much for this, so I bet that it's spilling over to the secondary spillway as well, the way it was designed to do. Well, fingers crossed that's what's occurring. But even though there's a lot of water leaving this dam and leaving this farm, it still isn't causing a lot of turbidity. It's not causing any erosion because of the way it's been designed. So I certainly encourage you to use those rocks where you can, and grass those areas up. So when you do have big events like this, you're not in constant fear or concern that you're losing all that topsoil, because it's no good for your land, obviously no good for the environment either. I've worn the wrong boots down today because they're now completely soaked, but anyway, this is a lot of water, and look, it's not surprising. The water was coming down pretty hard, as you would have seen in that video when the water was coming down at say 4 o'clock this morning. Even the tanks couldn't keep up with the water that was coming into them. They're all overflowing. What a difference it makes from 6 weeks ago, when things were starting to dry out and we were thinking about how we're going to continue to use rotational grazing to make sure that the cattle put condition on and that we don't overgraze the paddock so it does harm to them. But well, this is Australia, and in our national anthem they talk about droughts and flooding rain. Well, here's another example that this has been going on for a very long time, and it continues to go on today. This is the secondary spillway that I've mentioned in a couple of videos. I don't normally get over here to have a look, but given the amount of rain we've had, I thought it was worth coming over just to see how it's handling this excess rainfall this morning. So this obviously is normally completely dry, and this channel off to my right hand side goes up all the way over here and then disappears down past those trees. So this is working as we expected as well, so that's it's nice to see. Sam's very excited jumping through all this water. She is having a good old time. Grass has recovered beautifully in here. I remember when this was all dirt, and we had the excavator in trying to fix up some issues with some tunnel erosion, and just wouldn't believe it would look like this, given how back to dirt it was. But of course we put some seed and some fertilizer down and some mulch down. It made a huge difference. And it's mostly grass now. There's just a bit of a section here that I'm going to come back and visit once things dry out a bit. And I'll get a bit more mulch on here. I'll throw a bit more fertiliser in. I really do want to see 100% grass cover over the top of this dam. You can sort of see that there are sections where the grass hasn't taken. But that won't be an issue. We'll have another go. Sometimes it doesn't work the first time. But given this was completely bare, we're obviously making progress. Now the water there is actually spilling from that primary spillway. It's going out down that primary spillway and then sort of heading down away from the back of the wall. And then it sort of ducks back in here, heads back down here, and you can see that it joins and its heads off down here. And we'll have a look at that in a bit more detail in just a moment. This is at the back of that dam wall that I was just on top of. And this is where all this water is coming. Such a great opportunity to have some leaky weirs in here. I'm just going to need to find the time. As you can see, this house dam that we really use just to look at, not to pump from, has got an awful lot of water in it, and this is exactly the same as the other dams around the place. We've had in total over 2 nights and the storms that came with them along southeast Queensland, we've picked up about 130 mils, maybe just a tad over. So
fair bit of rain, and that's really made things a lot easier for us in terms of growing pasture for the cattle. Water in this little dam here now is overflowing. Sort of overflows here and heads down beside these banana trees and then out into the paddock, and coincidentally then joins just past Sam, who's out having a look with me. Joins this other dam down there. And that one's full too. Still a fair bit of rain about, according to the Bureau. You can see on the radar that there's storms out to the west of us and to the north of us. There's a couple of kangaroos out there enjoying some green pick. It's just amazing how different the grass is now after just a few days of rain. It's really starting to green up. The camera never really shows those colours, but it was getting a little bit brown, but now it's looking pretty good. As I was saying, what a significant difference there is after a couple of nights of rain. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.